Hey everyone, we're back with another video. Today I want to talk about why your timeline for success doesn't need to match with anybody else's. The reality is each and every one of us are so different from each other. We have things that come easy to us that are just, something we could do in our sleep, right? For different tasks and different skill sets. And we have things that are harder that it would take a long time for us to do. And each of us have different things that are easy and hard for us, as well as different skills that we're proficient in. And because of that, we have different abilities, just fundamental different sets of abilities. And because we have this wide range of abilities and we're all trying to learn, success is not going to come in certain fields to you easier or harder. It's going to be very, very different for each person. It's not going to be exactly like somebody you saw on TV who did this and this, right? Take studying as an example. Some people are just naturally more gifted at studying. It doesn't mean you can't study and, become successful in that field. It's just that it's going to take more work. And that's why you shouldn't compare yourself to other people's success, because to be honest, it's just frankly not relevant. Yes, you should try to look at how do they achieve success? What kind of tools do they use? Methods, maybe, that stuff can help you. But if you really try to excessively compare, what's going to happen is you're going to get very, very depressed and you're going to get very sad. And when you don't hit the quote unquote benchmark that person reached in X amount of time, you're going to think that you're a failure. And I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say 1,000 more. Success is such a hard thing. And that if you have any extra level of something that's discouraging you, it's only going to make you want to quit even more than you already do. Already when you fail and you're faced with just a lot of just lack of success in the beginning, you already want to give up. And then you stack this comparison on top of that of why am I not like X, Y, and Z? Why am I not like so-and-so? Why couldn't I already be successful now? They did it so quickly. And we really have to realize that that outside perspective, we think we know everything, but if you don't know that person personally and you don't know all the details of how they actually became successful, you don't know anything about how they got success. You may see externally, the time they started, the time they finished, but you don't know what they went through. And unless you know exactly what they went through, you really should not compare. And if you knew exactly what they went through, you would also not be comparing, because you would realize everybody's different. Everybody reaches success in their own way, even if you're in the same field, even if you're both trying to study to become like a professor, even if you're both trying to, do a startup. You guys are all different, and success does look very different. Yes, there are some commonalities, but when you excessively just compare yourself with other people who have different situations fundamentally, you are setting yourself up for a big failure and beatdown of your own mentality and your own mindset, which is really one of the most dangerous things you can do. Failures that are external, that are experiences, that are things that you know how to improve and you learn from that experience, those are perfect, right? But failures that are internal, failures of your mind to not believe in yourself, of your mind to just start to give up, those are really dangerous. And you can't just invite those kind of negative thoughts into your head. You really need to be very careful of what thoughts are circulating in your head constantly, because we talk about this. Environment is so important, right? Because environment is who you're around. But even if you're talking about people, you're not around somebody 24/7. The only person that you will always be around, always be with until the day you die is yourself and the thoughts in your head. And so imagine if you have certain thoughts in your head and they just start spawning into your head, right? And then they're super negative and they're comparing you all the time with somebody else. And they're like, oh, they already reached success. You're never going to be able to do it. You may have 1 second of time pass, but you may have 100 thoughts in that 1 second. And now if you think about it, how are you supposed to last a year if you constantly have to fight that? So part of success is grinding through the pain, right? Grinding through the difficulty. But part of it is really just using your mind and realizing, hey, we need to be smart about this. We can't beat ourselves down and then somehow try to still expect that we're going to be full of energy and want to work after, comparing ourselves and thinking we're such a huge failure and telling ourselves we're a failure 10 times, right? No. You need to be your own motivator. You need to be that cheerleader for yourself, because in this world, nobody's really going to know exactly what you're doing. They're not going to know all the sacrifices you make. They're not going to know the personal, private sacrifices that you are making to try to achieve this dream. The only person that's going to know that is you. And because of that, you have to be the one that congratulates yourself. There are situations when you actually failed, but you need to congratulate yourself because you took the risk, and that's a huge step forward. Nobody understands this. Nobody. They're from the external perspective, they're you failed. You literally failed. Why are you celebrating? And you have to be you won't understand, because it took me so long just to take, just attempt this, just to put my foot out the door, just to get out there and dip my toe in the water, just try. And even just trying, if you haven't ever tried before, is such an accomplishment. Because why? Because you do it once, you can do it again. If you can do it twice, then you can do it again and again and again and again. And that's how you become successful. You just keep trying. You never, ever give up. And by making this a habit of just trying again, and just working and working and working and improve, that is how you become successful. So this is the very beginning of creating that sort of habit. And that is just so, so important. But nobody in this world really understands it, right? Most people look at the external and be like, why you failed? Something's wrong with you. They never, ever celebrate that. Yes, there are times when it sucks and when maybe you could have improved things. But if it's the first time you failed, you should be happy in the sense that you tried. You did something that 95% of the people in this world will never do. You put yourself on the line. You expose yourself to embarrassment, to shame, to the judgment of other people, to try and accomplish a dream that you held in your head, and you put the work behind that. Tell me that's not honorable. That's definitely honorable, right? That's totally respectable. And then you shouldn't view it as this is a terrible thing. No, you should just view it as this is the beginning of a journey. This is really the beginning. And if you have that expectation that this is the beginning, then you'll realize, okay, at the beginning of a journey, you can't expect to be completely successful at the beginning, right? It takes time. And you just start to talk to yourself, in a more positive light. And that is truly the thing that's going to carry you towards success, because there's so many long nights where you're going to be by yourself, so many long days, weeks, years where you're going to be by yourself. And if you can't be your own coach or be your own motivator, you're never going to make it. I can sit here and tell you all these things and try to pump you up or even show you the right strategies and things and how to try to think correctly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if your mind is against you, I'm losing, because there's a 24/7, opponent of me that's in your head all the time, pulling you back from what you should have, which is your success, what you should be doing, how you should be growing, right? So realize you have to really, really fix that first. I know everyone wants to start with the work, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But if your mindset is just so fragmented, so toxic, so negative, you're not going to make it. So you need to start by fixing that, and then a lot of other stuff will follow. Yes, it's not like once you fix your mindset, all of a sudden you'll be successful, but it's really the prerequisite, I think, to just getting started. You really need to make sure you have a solid mindset, because otherwise you're just not going to go far. That's simply the truth. If you guys have any questions, put them down below. If not, make sure you guys follow and subscribe for more.